Hey everyone, welcome to Podcast Insider Special Edition. I have Christopher and I think I just
Yeah,
destroyed it, from
that's fair enough.
from Auphonic with me today. And for those of you that are Blubrry customers, you know that Auphonic is powering our media mastering platform that a number of you are taking advantage of. Christopher, I've been using Auphonic, going all the way back to when you guys did the first initial software version of the
Yeah.
product. How long is, I guess maybe the better way to start is you just give me a 411 of what you do at Auphonic and any information you
Yeah,
can share. Yeah.
for sure. We do automated audio post-production, especially for speech files. So the idea originated over 10 years ago at a Chaos Communication Congress in Germany, where our CEO, Georg, went. And he was an avid podcast listener, always has been, still is. And he recognized that there's so many problems with the audio in the space because it's a science in itself, and there's so many things that can go wrong for the simple reason that our brain can differentiate between the contextually important information of our conversation and all the background noise that is going on. Microphone doesn't have that luxury, so you have to do all that either in preparation or in post-production. And he thought, well, maybe could there be a way to automate this process to help people out that are not experts, that can't afford all the expensive hardware? And maybe there is a way to make it easier and make it automatic to get the tedious parts out of the production. That was the idea. And it was, I believe, in 2013 when he started developing like a simple gain compression tool that makes everything louder and cuts off the top. And over the last 12, 13 years, we kept adding features to it, and now it is what it is.
One of the biggest challenges I had as an early podcaster, and it was, if it was in the beginning of time, I think I was using Audacity in the beginning and then maybe Audition.
Yeah.
They just didn't make it easy. You had to really be almost a rocket science
Yeah.
to know how to do the leveling and everything. And I had a good friend, his name was Paul Figiani, and he said, "Todd, you're using Audition. Here's all these, he sent me a bunch of templates or filters or plugins or whatever they were."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Really?" And it took me forever, and then there was a product that
Mm.
it came out in the very early days. It was called Levelator. It was done by,
Mm.
Adam K. And,
Yeah.
that product was fantastic until it wasn't, because they abandoned it and didn't support it no more.
Yeah.
And I think that's about the time Auphonic came on the scene, and
Mm.
for me and my editing process, I didn't have the money to hire a professional audio editor. I
Yeah.
really was not an audio engineer. I could cut the ends of my audio file and do a little bit of playing around with, ums and ahs. But when it came done to save that MP3 into a file that I was going to put out on the internet and for my podcast
Yeah.
audience, man, people be like, "It's too low this time. It's too high. It's not
Yeah.
right," or you blew me out, or whatever the issue
Mm.
was. And when the Phonic software tool came out and I used it for the first time and I looked at the waveform actually in my audio DAW, I was like, "Oh my god." All I gotta do is put it in here. I got a few
Yeah.
settings, hit process, and bada bing, bada boom. 2 minutes later, I had a finished output that no more complaining from the audience about your levels are all over the
Yeah.
place. And so, from my standpoint, I've been a big fan, for
Yeah. Thanks.
from the beginning, just because, be honest with you, I was probably like 90% of the people that are watching this one-man band with, I had to do the editing, promotion, and I just wanted
Yeah.
something that worked. So when we reached out to you folks to integrate, because I know at some point I said, "Why aren't you guys updating the audio version of the software? I mean, the software version of it." And basically the response from the team was, "Well, technology has moved to a point we can't do everything in that tool anymore
True.
that we can do in the cloud."
True.
And
Well, we could do it, but it would take a day, two to process, and that's not smart.
yeah, and I was a little aggravated, but at the same point, I said, "Okay, this makes sense. If I'm getting a better product on the
Mm,
output, um, then ultimately the audience is gonna be happy, even if I have to upload that WAV file and, it takes 5, 6, 7 minutes to get that file back is what it typically takes for my show,
mm,
which is about an hour,
yeah,
sometimes shorter, and then the output of this thing is just I don't have to worry about it because you guys do more than the leveling, you do noise reduction, there's just a whole process.
yeah,
Can we talk a little bit about the process that happens when let's just say even the customer uploads an MP3, which we don't recommend. We always recommend uploading the WAV file, but
for
they
sure.
can upload an MP3 and some do. But
Yeah.
what kind of happens when that file
Mm.
hits your servers?
Like, maybe I'm gonna start with the difference between a WAV file and an MP3
Sure.
first. It's like an MP3 is a encoded file. It takes all the information out that isn't necessary because of masking effects, because of things we wouldn't hear. So this information we wouldn't hear anyway, it takes out of the file. So working with that will always be a bit more lossy than working with a lossless flat file like WAV. But if you drop a WAV or an MP3 into Auphonic, the same thing happens. We take it to our servers and we analyze it first. So we do an intelligent approach, looking at the file and seeing where are the peaks and valleys, what is going on within the file. We classify this is music, this is speech, this is important, this can go out, here are problems, here are good parts. And then we make all the decisions accordingly with respect to what you selected should happen to the input file. So we do, as you mentioned, denoising, we do reverberation, we do automatic cutting, we do transcription. So the tool is designed essentially to be a toolbox for audio, for speech audio. So if you have any speech recording at all, you drop it in there, and if you have any problems, we'll try to fix it. What an audio engineer would normally do. We normalize it, we level it, we put out the noises, we make it crisp and clear, sound up front, and do all the production automatically.
One thing that we do for the customers, they have a few settings that they can set in our dashboard, but we basically preset the stuff that's really important that we know that
Yeah,
we set the minus 16.7, we all these levels, these different types of things
yeah,
that need to be set. We preset that for the podcaster because to be honest with you, if we give them this big settings box are gonna go, "I don't know what to do with this anyway."
yeah. I get
So
that too. Yeah,
and when you get the file from us, it's voice, and that allows you really in the preset to be able to really take that file and do a number on it.
yeah,
And I guess I'm preaching to the choir here because what I start out with, and I'm currently in the Philippines, so I'm working on a audio platform that is different than when I'm home in my home studio. In my home studio, I've got sound panels. I have a much richer audio dynamic chain. What I have here is obviously I got a Shure SMB7, and I've got a Rodecaster Duo with a little bit of processing going on, a phonic big bottom, and some EQ, and just a few things that I've set in this. But I'm still, I can even hear it right now. I'm a little, it's I don't know if the word is bright or if what's the word I wanna use, but I can tell that the audio is not nearly as good as what I get in my
mm,
studio when I'm in Michigan, just because that is a whole different processing chain. Now, I'm
yeah,
probably now running a setup that is more typical of the majority of podcasters. They're
mm,
running a mic that is either this quality or lower, and maybe they're using a USB mic like an ATR 2100 or something to that
yeah,
effect. And maybe they are not using a Rodecaster. Maybe they're plugged directly into their their MacBook or their Windows machine.
Mm,
So it all depends on their setup. But what I have found again and again and again and again, it doesn't matter if I'm using a handheld mic that is not on a boom, or if I'm using my real expensive processing chain that I have
yeah.
in Michigan. When I get that file out of Auphonic, it's very hard to tell the difference.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks so much. And that's also what we intend to do, output consistency with varying input. So we want to, on the one hand, we want to offer our customers the choice what should happen with their audio, and on the other hand, we want consistent output. So if you have the same production twice in a row, or if you
Yeah,
have a large media output and you want to use it for mastering and consistency, that's exactly what it should do. With varying input, we want to keep concise and crisp output. Well, thanks so much, and it seems that it works in a way.
it does. And um, and here's the funny thing. A couple of episodes ago, we have a switch that for Blubrry customers, when they hit the uploader, there's a media mastering switch. And for some reason, I don't know how, I off clicked that switch
Mm,
by mistake or whatever. So when the file went up, it never went to Auphonic. And like within 12 hours, I had like 4 or 5 emails, people saying, what happened to this
mm.
episode? And it was real low. You know, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they probably had to crank their audio all the way up to barely hear me. It was nowhere near the levels it needed to be. And I've always told folks, you can fix audio that is low, but you have a very difficult time fixing audio that's oversaturated. You know, if
Yeah.
it's real
Yeah.
low, you can pretty much fix it. But if it's, if it's blasting out,
Mm,
that episode's going to be hard to fix, no matter what
yeah.
service you're using.
Yeah.
So, so we obviously
Because maybe,
go ahead.
sorry, the information in quiet audio is still there. It's just quiet, and if you amplify it, there's gonna be a lot of noise. But Auphonic is able to take out all of this noise.
Right.
If you have like audio that's clipping, that really takes off the top, the information is lost, and you can only maybe synthesize some information to that, but you can only work with what you got.
That's true. And like right now, I've got an air conditioner working, so I know that when I get done with this, there is going to be just a little
Mm,
bit of noise floor that's going to be on that.
yeah.
And whereas I know if I send that for media mastering with Auphonic,
Mm,
that's going to get ripped,
yeah.
and I'm gonna be good. Now, if I'm using Audition or I'm using Audacity, I would have to go and save myself, 3, 4 seconds of sampling to sample that noise with
Mm,
no other find that spot where there was 3 or 4
yeah.
seconds, and
Sure.
then but that has its own complications, and if you
Mm,
don't noise reduce correctly, manually in just your DAW, then guess what's gonna happen? That affects the whole chain going
yes.
going forward, whereas you guys are used to being able to say, "Okay, we know that here's the little bit of noise in that audio file. We know what to take out. Let's leave the rest of it
Yeah.
alone." And this is where it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a miracle tool, but it is as close to being a miracle tool. As a matter of fact, one of my competitors who's also integrated with you folks, they call theirs, magic mastering or something like that,
Mm,
and we call it
yeah.
media mastering, but it is kinda magic, in what happens. And I should say too, if you're not a Blubrry customer and you don't have the media mastering package added on, you can do this through Auphonic for a fee. You can go over and sign up at auphonic.com
Exactly. Yeah.
and pay as you go as well, or for whatever the recurring is a month, and have
Yeah.
your audio processed there manually as well. So, just so everybody knows, we do the API integration where we take care of that with you in Blueberry and send the file over, get it back, and then it's ready to publish. Whereas if you're not using Blueberry, you can go straight to Auphonic and use and again, it's anyone can do this. And I would say that the interface is pretty consumer friendly. I, I've
Yeah.
I've been on the actual website and logged in, and before we were integrated, I was using the cloud quite a
Mm.
bit. Um, but what do you see right now with the product? It's been a while since I talked to anybody on your team, but what is the process? Are you guys continuously upgrading? Are you using AI? How has the product kind of evolved over the last couple of years?
Mm. Yeah, what you mentioned before with Audacity, you have to take the noise profile, and that has to you have to learn the noise profile of the audio. That's what we do in the backend. We design all the algorithms and the AI models that we use ourselves. So we have the luxury of having trained audio engineers, data
Mm,
scientists
right,
working on this on each day. We have dedicated data labelers that provide the data to train our algorithms. And that's takes the process out of you having to train the algorithm because
right.
it's pre-trained. We
Yeah.
take tremendous care of listening to all the new test runs that are coming out and see are they as close to great as they can be, and if no, can we change it in a bit? Can we provide better data? Can we tweak the algorithms a bit? And that's what we do in the backend a lot. Yeah, so our training servers are running like 24/7.
So
Yeah.
does it actually, if you think about it, you guys have got, like you said, 13, 14 years, whatever the number is here.
Mm,
Do you see new scenarios that come up that allows the model to be improved? Is it
for sure.
incrementally being improved now, or how do you
That
measure
too,
that
yeah.
over this much time?
That too, yeah. The thing when Auphonic started was with classical digital signal processing, it wasn't possible to dynamically denoise stuff, to have like chair squeakings or mouth
Mm,
clickings or dynamic noises that happen in the background, like somebody starting up a lawnmower. We couldn't remove that contextually, but static noise was possible to filter out. Like you would say an air conditioner that runs in the background. That was
right.
possible. But as AI technology improved, we were able to train our own algorithms on GPUs that can detect dynamic noise. So there's the differentiation between like our static denoiser and
Mm,
our dynamic denoiser. The dynamic denoiser also considers noises that happen dynamically, like a bird chirping in the background,
right.
like a dog barking, people talking over each other.
Yeah.
Uh, Doing that, we improve our algorithms on a daily basis, because so much more is possible now technically than it was 10 years ago. And this trend keeps improving. There's better AI models coming out. We, like I said, develop all our models ourselves. So there's a tremendous effort to improve those. And we always take a look at the market and the needs of customers. So the feedback that we get from people, from our users, we take that into consideration a lot, and we discuss a lot. Like, should we do this feature next, or is it smarter to go down this road? What would people need to have like a seamless service, to come to Auphonic, come to the toolbox and drop their audio in there, select the appropriate tools, and have perfect output.
Yeah. It's funny, when I lived in Hawaii, um, I lived basically 3,000 feet above sea level, but most Hawaii houses did not have central air. They had wall
Hmm.
units. And so my studio was in a spare bedroom with a sliding glass door in the front and a side window to the side. And my microphone and desk was basically behind all the open windows and stuff were in front of me. And I usually recorded at like 9 at night. So I didn't have people running blowers and mowing the lawn
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And then when I was doing a Saturday show, we started really, really early. But then I got an annoying neighbor that decided he was going to start mowing the lawn at 7 a.m. for whatever reason. And
Mm,
to me, it was just,
happens.
it was one of those things where I had no choice but to have open windows because I'm a podcaster. Again, the air
Mm,
conditioner was going to be more noisy than the windows being open, and you just kind of set through that, and you tell the audience, "Well, sorry,
yeah.
I can't help this, right?" And you can get away with that one or two times, but it's interesting now that you say that when someone and most people, I think, are fortunate enough they can record with the windows closed, and
Yeah.
maybe and, they have central air, and maybe the leaf blower is a faint hum, not like, "Woo," in your
Mm,
you really hearing that sucker howl. So, it's nice then that those profiles can say, "Oh, yeah, we need to get rid of that. That doesn't belong with this new," whereas the fixed hardware model would have never done that, where now in the
Yeah.
cloud it can evolve. And I didn't think about the clicking or the popping
Mm,
sounds as well, so that's
yeah.
good to know.
Like also filler words or silence cutting. That also happens with AI. So it detects silence and it cuts out, still keeping the uh, flow of the speech
Yeah,
intact. Also, filler words are highly language specific, so we need to train that in various languages. It works very well in English and in German, and for other languages, we need to improve that ourselves because well, we have to detect all these filler words, and that's also an AI detection system.
yeah. For those of you that are using the Blueberry interface, we do not change in our API call that we send over. We don't have any of this advanced stuff done. We don't remove the spacing or filler words. What you get back is exactly what you sent with the basically the waveform manipulation and the denoising. If you want these advanced features that are being talked about by Christoph, then you can go manually and set those settings on the
Yeah,
website of Phonic. Well, that's cool. I didn't know you guys had gotten to the point of doing that
yeah.
because, okay, so let me ask you a question. So there's another company out there that's doing some of this in a online DAO. It's
Mm,
and what I hear coming out of that product is sometimes it feels to me that the podcaster doesn't breathe.
mm,
They've taken too much air out.
yeah,
How tricky has that been to keep?
quite.
I'm sure. So, because you can go too far, and I feel
Yeah.
that the product that I'm referring to, they go too far. I feel like they
Mhm,
go a millisecond, I don't know what the millisecond cut is, but it
yeah.
feels to me like it's maybe 25% too much. So, I'm sure that's a real hard it's hard to find that happy medium, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely is. And that's also so many creative decisions that go into that because somebody would want the speech to be highly condensed and have no breathings and no pauses at all. Other people want to have more natural flow of speech or want to have deliberate pauses
Yeah.
between sentences and breathings. So, what we aim for is giving enough options for people to choose from
Mm.
while still automating all the rest. So, we have, for example, like the capability to choose if you want to totally remove noises and totally remove reverb or to keep it in to a degree. You can set
The
the
level.
dB levels.
Mm.
Yeah. Would you want to take it out totally or would you want to take it out just a smidge? Also for reverb, also for breathing. So you can quiet down the breathings. You can also cut them out entirely. And that's all
Yeah.
a matter of choice, I say. But as you mentioned, it's hard to get exactly right. An AI is just a tool, and it gets
Mhm.
you like 80% of the way. So what we are rolling out soon is gonna be an editor upgrade that
Oh.
lets you adjust all these little fades. So you see the regions where cuts have been applied, and you can manually set this a bit sooner or this a bit later. You can deactivate cuts if something has been cut out mistakenly. And we want to have this human excellence factor that people can take a look themselves and adjust it the way they want it to have. Reprocess it, and it's done.
So, with that new version coming, are you gonna be able to save that setting and apply that filter or that profile so that
Mm,
you basically look at, let's say I'm gonna upload this audio into the platform, save that, and then it says, "Okay, now I kinda know because I know the pacing of the show and I know, everything that goes along with it." Save that
mm.
profile so that next time I just boom, I just drop the audio file in there. It does what my profile setting is and sends it back to me because I've taken the time on one file to kinda set those levels.
Yeah.
Is that gonna be an option?
That's a great idea. it's going to be an option to a degree. Like all the settings that you can set before production, you
Mm,
can save as a preset.
okay.
So you can do all of that before production. And then, like you do with your API call, you just select the preset, have it processed, and receive the finished file. The rest, like the adjustment of the cut regions and the selection of the cuts, that would have to be done manually
Manually.
still.
Because
But
you're
it's a great idea to have like that. I don't know how technically feasible that is to develop, but it would be a cool idea.
yeah. Because for me, to be honest with you, time is money,
Yeah,
and, uh, I am not one and there are many people that think completely different than this. But also, I'm thinking as when I was started my podcast, I was, had 3 kids that were all very young. Matter of fact, I had to put tape over my EQs and I mean, I had to kid-proof my studio, power switches and everything because 'cause they'd come in and, flip a switch and so it
mm,
was but the for me, when I was my initial concept is and I invested heavily in a good flow, a good amplifiers, good compressor, all these things that most people today get right on the Roadcaster without having to have a rack of stuff. I wanted the best quality of audio coming out so that I could do the
yeah,
least amount of editing, drop it into Auphonic, get the product out, and move on and get the show published.
yeah,
For most, I think for most podcasters, we want it to sound good, but I don't think I need symphony quality output at this point. I
yeah,
just need a good mastered audio product that my listeners are not going to have to be riding the volume button throughout the episode. I'm getting excited
yeah,
and I get a little bit I want them to be able to just stay one level the entire time and have a good experience. For me, um that's enough. I know that
mm,
some folks will spend 5 hours editing
yeah,
audio for 1 episodes. I would have quit podcasting years ago if I had to edit for 5 hours, and I can't
mm,
afford to have someone edit for 5 hours.
yeah,
So I think that, there's probably within the product offering, what we're doing in this preset is kind of like, okay, we're getting you to the 90% level with the audio coming back. If you want
mm,
these additional touch points, you just go over and set up an account on Auphonic and then you can manipulate to your heart's content.
yeah,
Um, I think that's really like from my understanding and based on what you guys are coming out with. I hope the rest of you maybe some of you are getting excited about this tool, especially if you're using another editing product at this point.
mm,
I just think it's what I love. I guess going back to basics, what I love is I get the audio to where I want it from a
yeah,
editing standpoint. You send it to you guys, you master it, I get it back, I publish it. Um, and for me, that's good enough. But again, I think some people want
yeah,
more. What do
sure.
you from a podcaster, obviously, you guys got different audience profiles. Are you having folks that are doing music mastering in this? What's the genre of customers that you're seeing?
Yeah, well, we have quite a lot of those, but we don't specialize in it, so they are usually not satisfied
Oh,
because we don't do music mastering.
mm,
We didn't design the algorithms to do music mastering. It's for speech. All our
speech.
models are trained for speech, and it's optimized for all sorts of speech. Sure, there's gonna be some compression with the music, but it's not intended for that.
Mm,
There's a cool company from Norway. They specialize in music mastering, and I usually refer the people to them, like Master Channel.
sure.
They do music mastering, but yeah,
Do you s
we have a variety of customers actually. Like there's indie podcasters that have the one-off production.
Yep.
We have podcast hosting platforms like Blubrry that have a lot of audio data that goes through. We have media houses, broadcasting stations, content creators,
Mm.
also audiobooks,
Yep.
people having like a meditation podcast that only has breathings.
Wow.
And my personal favorite story is one of um, when we recently improved our denoising capabilities, because when we had silence and a lot of noise, the algorithm would hallucinate and it would sound like some sort of whispers, like whispers going on. And when we removed that, because it was technically not good, we improved it, we removed it. We got an email from a customer saying that we ruined her business model because this customer was a medium and she was recording her seances that she
Oh.
held. And she sent these files through Auphonic, and the hallucinations of our algorithms. She interpreted those and told the people what the ghosts were saying. And she was furious because the business model didn't work anymore. So we have a variety of customers
That's
with all
a
sorts of use cases.
That's a very interesting. She was interpreting the hallucinations of the AI. Wow.
Exactly.
So I guess she was a really good psychic to
Yeah.
interpret hallucinations of AI.
Extremely creative use. We would never have thought of something like that. But like I mentioned, we have a lot of different use cases, some of which more comedic, some of which more business
Yeah.
oriented, and everybody should be served with great audio.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
I think that's true. So do you find then YouTubers that do spoken word, are they using, because a lot of YouTubers add a lot of effects as well, but do you feel that a lot of YouTubers that are doing primarily audio content are using Auphonic as well?
Yeah, for sure. And I've been speaking to various podcasters. I've spoken to one that sits in a barn below like an airport.
Yeah.
And he says they use Auphonic as a first step to clean up all the mess, and then they do all the production on top. Like they apply all the compressors and all the filtering and make it crisp and clean. But they use it as a fail safe.
The
basically.
fail safe. I would go to trade shows. Specifically, I would take a team to CES every year, and we would be right on the show floor. And of course, the decibel level of that noise. And so, we worked really, really hard on the audio chain to try to isolate that. Everyone was there, and we had boom mics on just everything we could do to drown out that floor noise. Now, a certain amount of it was good because it gave the audience the understanding that there's this realistic event happening, and it was video. But boy, there was just sometimes there would be a vendor that would be, 20 feet down from us that would have some, audio thing that was going on in their booth. It would just kill us. And I could have really, really, really used a phonic cloud to
Yeah.
clean up some of that audio, because some of it, we just had to live with it in the past. There was just no way to clean it up. It was just it was what it was. And I know some people record in bars and different locations, and depending how many people in the bar, just the noise floor of the hubris of the business is enough to pose, it's just distractions and challenges.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we aim to take out all the problematic parts of production, all the tedious parts, the repetitive stuff, and,
Yep.
and automate that. Also, because we don't have a real-time flow. Usually, audio processing works in real time. You apply the VST plugins, and you do all of that in real time, and then you render out a finished version. We don't do that. We don't do real-time processing. We analyze the file and apply
Right.
all of our effects, and you get that back. And like you mentioned before, 6 minutes for 1 hour, that's about what we would expect. It's like 10% of the audio length it usually takes to do all of that. So for 1 hour, it would be 6 minutes, and so on.
Yeah. You talk about the VSTs, that's like going back to the days when my friend Paul sent me all those settings. And, and I'm looking at Audition like, oh my God. And, it made the audio better, but the dynamics of the day change. And he didn't know that that day that the wind level was up and I was
Exactly.
getting wind noise through the room or whatever it may have been.
Mm,
So in this case, taking that final product, you're looking at on a case by case or file by file basis, you're able to analyze, make the changes, and do the mastering to get a pretty consistent product. And I
right
think
on.
that's the key here, the main takeaway. So for those that are Blueberry customers, the media mastering add-on is available on the platform. Once you have it, when you upload media, all you have to do is make sure that the media mastering button is set. And we recommend that you upload the WAV file. The file will come back to Blueberry as an MP3. So we do the conversion and we put that file in 128 kilobits so that you get a good high quality MP3 that comes back. Um, and if you want to go to Auphonic directly to use their product, which I recommend as well, what does the pricing look like today for someone that's using the service
Mm.
standalone?
Sure. So we have volume-based pricing. That means that we price by the hour of processed audio per month. 2 hours are free for everybody. So if you have an account and you have 2 hours of audio per month, you can process for free. Above that, we have subscription models starting with 9 hours all the way up to 100 hours. You can check out all the prices on our pricing page. And we also have the one-time credits. These are like valid indefinitely, and you just use them when you have a production. So if you have a
Yeah.
one-off production, you can just buy one-time credits, and they don't expire. And if you have regular production needs, you can opt for a subscription. And for bigger clients, we also offer business pricing. And I would kindly ask you to send us an email. We can discuss all the details.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best way. And what's the best email people should use to reach this?
Support@auphonic.com is a good one. You can also always email me, cg@auphonic.com. I'll be there for you.
And, and for those going back to the Blueberry customers, it's $10 a month. You basically are covered for everything that you upload on the flat rate plans. Those of you that are on a pro hosting plan, you do have a per minute charge that goes on for those of you that have multiple shows. That's how we've worked it on that. But we give you super competitive pricing by doing it through Blueberry. But again, we have preset the majority of the settings that. So if you get a file back from Blueberry and you say, this is not quite what I want, then the better route is to go directly to auphonic.com and use it standalone. Either way, I almost guarantee that you're going to get a better product out of your um, if you're using Discord, not Discord. If you're using Descript, if you're using Audition, if you're using Audacity, if you're using Hindenburg, I can almost guarantee I know for a fact that when I save my file out of Audition, I get a much better file back from Auphonic than anything I could have ever created. Now, if you have someone that is editing your content already, ask them what they're using for media mastering. You might be surprised. Maybe they won't even tell you. They might be using Auphonic already for doing media mastering, and you're thinking they're coming up with magic, but all they're really
Mm,
doing is just editing out ahs and ums and then sending the file off to be processed. I've had a few people confess to that, and I'm like,
mm.
okay, you are a great audio engineer using you're not an audio engineer, you're just an editor using a tool to get the mastered output. So if you're
But
having
still,
some
that's smart.
yeah,
That's
it's
smart.
smart for sure. But
And we got the luxury. We have a lot of audio engineers in the team. They are trained audio engineers. We got this study program, college program in Graz that specifically focuses on signal processing, on audio engineering, electrical engineering, and we got a couple of those working around the clock to improve the algorithms so that everybody can tap into our knowledge.
awesome. Hey, this was fantastic. Did I miss anything?
I don't know.
I think we've covered the basics of it. And again, for those of you that
Sure.
have not used Auphonic, you get 2 hours free to go over and just play with it. So why
Yeah.
not? You don't even have
Yeah.
to sign up for media mastering with Blueberry. Just go over and use the 2 hours free. and then you can make a decision. I want to do it directly, or I want to do it through Blubrry. And again, we don't make any bones. We're very public about who does the media mastering through us. As a matter of fact, we're proud
Mm.
to say that we use Auphonic because, again, it's a product that I've stood behind and I've used personally for more than 1,000 episodes of the Geek News Central podcast new media show. Thousands of episodes that have been processed by Auphonic. And again, like I said, I missed one the other day for some reason, and the audience immediately said, "Hey, something's
Yeah, they
wrong."
reacted.
They reacted.
Yeah.
But it was easy to fix. I went in, uploaded, and replaced the file, and for those that listen later, got it. All right. Hey, thank you so much. Go to Auphonic, Auphonic, auphonic.com, and definitely drop them an email if you want to. You have bulk pricing. You get a little better rate if you move a lot of data. But
Yeah,
check their pricing out on
for
their
sure.
website. All right,
Yeah.
Christoph, thank you so much.
Todd, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely.